Oh, welcome everybody. And Happy New Year. And I am your sommelier for this fantastic new year. And today we're going to be going on a trip through Cabernet Sauvignon, one of the noble grapes. First, we'll kind of touch on some viticulture. Cabernet Sauvignon is actually one of the most widely planted grapes in the world, though it's far from the oldest. It's actually a hybrid cross between Cabernet Franc, which is actually now is kind of set to just a blending, and Sauvignon Blanc, which is kind of weird because I mean that being a really thin white grape, and really rose to prominence in France in the 17th century. And what's really kind of brought it to the forefront is that because of that crossbreeding, it's got a really thick skin to it, and it buds really late, which makes it far more frost resistant than a lot of your other varietals, ones that whether it's too cold, too warm, and any of those things, it's a lot more hardy, and because of that reason, that's the reason why they can take it and plant it just about anywhere, and it's going to take root and survive. Also, it has natural resistances to both rot and insects. Now, some of the things about it are, we're going to be distinctly looking for in every single one of these wines is the flavor profiles. So first, we're looking at fruit. Cabernet tends to trend towards dark fruit. So you're looking at like blackberry, plum, and black currant. Black currant, kind of think like a cross between a blackberry and a grape. And then in some hotter climates, it'll be a little bit more jammy with some black cherry and some black olive notes. And those are the fruits. Next, we'll be looking at, we'll be kind of keeping our minds on is vegetal. So Cabernets have prominent pyrazines in them, which lend towards bell pepper notes, especially in cooler regions. They'll also have some spices, especially baking spice, which is like your cinnamon, nutmeg, clove, along with some mint and cedar, especially when they're oaked. And then on top of that, especially in cab-heavy Bordeaux's, you'll smell and taste a very distinct note, which is pencil shavings. Now, you won't find it in other varietals or in hotter regions, but especially in Bordeaux, it's this cross of like cedar and graphite. And for those of you that couldn't find like just a full Cabernet and actually went with Bordeaux wine, you're probably going to notice that a little bit more prominent, but we should still see it for those of us that got it from Languedoc. So the prime areas that Cabernet is grown, first and foremost in France, Bordeaux being like what's kind of made it famous. That Medoc region of Bordeaux, the left bank is the largest French area to grow it, with the surrounding forests kind of cooling the air. And that's what also lends to it having a little bit more of that green and tighter grippiness comparatively to a large, the warmer regions like Languedoc, which is the other large area that grows Cabernet in France. Languedoc is in the southern part of France and is much hotter. So if you want like cheap French wines, usually called vin de pays d'oc, which means wine of the country, This is where it's usually from. Doesn't mean it's bad, but it definitely doesn't taste like Bordeaux. One of the places that we'll be, tasting from that grows Cabernet is Italy. It's grown all over Italy, and it uses a blending grape for a lot of different varietals. There was even some illegal blending going on in like Piedmont Barolo, where it's really supposed to be 100% Nebbiolo. And so that gets cracked down on, but it actually lends to a little bit more full flavored Barolo, and so that's where a lot of people were trying to blend it. But the typical use today of Cab Sauv is in Tuscan wine called Super Tuscan, which is really just means the heavily grown Sangiovese grape blended with that Cab Sauv. Which for a while actually raised quite a stink because they could make use of like lower quality Sangiovese and make it have a far superior quality of flavor. So all of a sudden, those that were in that superior range, like the Montepulciano, those all of a sudden, started to yell about it. In the US, what really kind of brought Cab Sauv to the forefront and made it like the main stage was the Judgment of Paris in 1976. That really just vaulted California to the international wine stage. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend the movie Bottle Shock for kind of like a docutainment on how monumental that event was. So Napa and Sonoma are kind of like the really big producers of Cab Sauv, and you can usually tell the difference between those two, where Napa has much more of a black fruit oriented note to it, where that's the first thing you're going to say is like blackberry, while Sonoma actually is a little bit grippier and leans towards licorice and black olives. And then Washington State, that's also really big on Cab. It's right behind its Syrah production, but it tends to be a lot more lighter and easier to drink than the chewy meals that are made in California. Next one that we'll be tasting tonight is from South America. We're going to be drinking from Argentina, where it grows, but it also tends to be blended into its more popular Malbec. And it's associated more with like dark fruits, but also be looking for like leather and tobacco notes. And just west of Argentina, in Chile, it's also grown. And there they actually tend to produce it more as like a single varietal. And because that climate is colder, it does lend to, they have a bit more of a distinct green pepper and vegetal note to it. And lastly, also in the New World is Australia. And much like Washington State, Australian Cab Sauv is right behind Syrah in its production. And it leans more towards that Napa style jammy black fruit because of South Australia really kind of being that like really warm climate. So again, what we're looking at for our flavors that we're going to be kind of going through, be looking for those dark fruit notes. Be looking for kind of like a green bell pepper, spice in terms of both baking spice and again for those of you that have the Bordeaux blend, maybe a little bit of that pencil shavings. And I think that's all I have to say on Cabernet. So I guess I'll stop talking now, unmute everybody, and then let's start on drinking. So, so actually, before we get to tasting, is there any questions on any of those that we just went through? Nope. Shut up, Bridget. Let's get drinking.
The storm.
All right. So first on our list is the Pirlet. Well, for those of us that went with what I was able to get, but it would be our French Cab Sauv.
Really, because I was getting kind of a metallic, like some of that like graphite pencil shaving kind of thing that he was talking about. I don't know if that's a suggestion or.
We had one yesterday that we definitely got that from. It was almost like it's like
Yeah.
So
I mean, what's that? It was just...
as usual, for those that are new, we kind of go through the deductive method of kind of wine tasting, which is to kind of look through it. We're going to be going through sight, and then we're going to be smelling it, and then tasting it, and then we'll kind of go through our pairings. So first and foremost, go ahead and tilt your glass to about a 45-degree angle, having something white to kind of set it against, and we'll kind of look at like what the color and clearness of this is.
Well, no light is getting through that at all.
it is definitely dark.
Well,
So I'd say this is more on that like ruby garnet, kind of lighter, especially for for those that are more used to like Napa Cab. This is definitely much more on the lighter scale.
Oh, no? I like the legs. They're really pronounced.
Yeah.
And then as we kind of give it a little bit of swirl to see the legs on it, those are coming down pretty thin.
Ours.
Okay. And it also, but the thing is though, is that it actually stains, at least for me, as those tears are coming down, they're not clear. They actually have like little bits of red to them, which for me, because mine is from Languedoc, it is a much more warm area. So I'd be thinking that mine's going to be a little bit more jammy than those of you that got one from Bordeaux. So let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff. What's everyone smelling on theirs?
Ours smells like rubbing alcohol.
We're also getting the pencil shavings and dark fruit like plum.
Okay.
But definitely more on that metallic side, I think. To me.
I'm getting these.
Ryan, Amber, Janet, what you smelling?
It's not great with the salad. It's not horrible. But...
I have no idea, as usual.
It smells distinctly French, whatever that means. I mean, to me, whatever that means. Again, it probably is those pencil shavings and
kind of earthy, maybe.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's why that's one of the reasons why I kind of also broke it up comparatively to how I had it on the listings for the event, was because I really wanted to kind of break up the old world and new world, so that you're going to be able to see a very contrasting difference between them. And yeah, these yes, you have a little bit of you'll have that blackberry, but really what kind of comes to the forefront is like kind of that cocoa and leather.
Okay, the burger does taste good.
All right,
More,
well, let's go ahead and give this thing our first sip of the night. So cheers, everybody.
Yeah, this is not my favorite. You're coming from the Midwest. That's your problem.
All right. So what are people getting on this?
Recipe for the Pozzi burgers.
For us, it's pairing really well with a roast that Kurt made and some blue cheese burgers that Sarah made.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're going to get to the pairings in a little bit. We're right now we're just trying to kind of sort out what notes we're getting from the wine itself.
Oh, sorry.
It's a dry, sort of medicinal fruitiness.
No,
For the one that we have.
that rubbing alcohol, I can't get out of it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Okay, so it's got
really
a bit of like a
smooth.
stringency for your guys's. Ryan, what were you saying?
Dirty.
It's really smooth.
Now, did you get the same one as I did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I also, I agree that this one, again, because of it coming from that warmer region, it's not going to have nearly the astringency that that Medoc Bordeaux is going to have. Janet, where did which like does it say which region you're?
It's a Margaux.
Oh, Chateau Margaux.
Yeah, it's a Margaux of Cantenac, Bergen, or Cantenac Brown. 2015 Brio, Margaux Brio. Brio's the label. I honestly, I from what I understand, we really didn't have any. There weren't any complete 100% Cabernets available, French Cabernets, in the price range. Anyway, let's put it that way. So
is either you have to and that's what our one team kind of substituted was a cab heavy instead of just instead of finding a single varietal for French cab is a little rough, except if you're going like super high quality or really low quality. Like one of the only ones for a couple of people was who is it? Georges Bouche or Bouffe, which is one of like the two I want to say like importers / negotiants that just do the most I want to say terrible stuff, but they are kind of like the map. They are the Julio and Gallo of the French import world.
They're the $2 Charles.
Yeah. Well, they're also one of two that do the Beaujolais Nouveau in November. So it's Bouffe and I can't remember what I think it's starts with another B, but those two have very distinct bottles, and both of them will be at almost every wine shop in November with their Beaujolais Nouveau.
Is that?
This tasted really like earthy to me. Like I didn't actually get any fruit flavors.
Yeah, and well, again, welcome to Old World, where
Really?
and well, did you get the same bottle, or did you have to find something else?
Yeah.
Yeah, I managed to find all of the same ones.
Oh, good. Okay. Now,
I just tried pairing it with chocolate, and it's not really pairing very well. I think it would actually pair better with blueberries.
Yeah. This, I think that this is because of its astringency. Even though it's a little bit smooth, I'd be thinking this is more like a food than dessert. Like any type of sugar whatsoever might make this almost like a bit more bitter.
No, I don't get it.
But yeah, on the taste on this, I'm definitely getting, you know, kind of like that dark,
Is it? Oh, thank God.
like that blackberry, but also almost kind of like a black cherry, along with kind of like to me, not so much vegetal, but almost kind of like a sage.
Because Rachel can read a recipe.
Yeah, I can see that.
Not like
But also, and also some black pepper to this as well. But now I can't wait to. I'm going to try with a couple of different couple of nibbles. Anyone got some good pairings?
Chocolate and raspberry.
We have a Carlos chocolate cake with raspberries. It really makes it.
Ooh.
They're so good.
I mean, I think it's the raspberries because the chocolate alone didn't work.
I think
No,
you're right.
yeah, because we had this hazelnut chocolate and it was like, meh.
Yeah, I think it's the raspberries. You're right. I also have a blueberry vanilla goat cheese that pairs very nicely.
See, Janet, got another cabin goat cheese.
Yeah.
I just had a little bite of smoked cheese, and it was wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, just wonderful.
Yeah, like a smoked Gouda or a smoked cheddar.
I'm really not sure what variety it is. To tell the truth, it's like a
bad.
So I also went to Trader Joe's and I got these vegetable samosas, and that Indian spice that's in them is going really well with this.
I always thought that Tempranillo went well with Indian food. You ever tried Tempranillo with?
Yeah, well, I mean, whether it's Tempranillo or you know, just which is mostly Tempranillo anyway, like a Rioja.
Yeah, I think
I tried mine with some bacon and smoked cheddar. It's pretty good.
Oh, nice.
So smoked things are definitely winning out with this.
Sounds like it, yeah.
I'm having to interpolate, so your experience a little bit, but it's fine. Very enjoyable.
That was also a good pairing. So, you know, I just because, you know, it's only me that I tend to shop at Trader Joe's for my pairings for each of these events, you know, picking up different things. And one of the things that I found go really well with pretty much any red wine is their steak stout pie. That thing is pretty amazing, between its butter crust and that kind of just gravy meat inside. Really just goes well, especially with, you know, these more savory wines.
My school MacBook, not my home MacBook, but all of a sudden.
I will put that on my list. I love Trader Joe's.
All right.
Where'd you go?
So
You're the one off the state time though, so.
after visiting Team Foodie, I'm giving them a little bit more time to get through all their tastings, but glasses are looking pretty empty there. So
we're ready to go.
All right, so let's move on to the Edmundo.
Argentina.
From Argentina. Let's see if you see these. If you ever want to invest in something really cool, see these little spouts that I have. They're called wine discs, and they're these like little flexible circles that you just kind of curl up and you stuff inside the bottle, and it makes for a great little pour spout on the go.
Oh,
so where'd you get those?
I mean, I just got them on, you know, Amazon.
Yeah, I have some of those.
I mean, I know those are good, but you said investment. I think like $1.
Yeah, and you get like a pack of like 12 of them, and you know, comparatively to having your wine just like drip down the bottle every time you pour it, it's a decent little investment.
What's that, Richard?
Need to take
I'm just teasing.
get the attention and
But they can't take them to trial.
I have a feeling I would probably drop mine inside the bottle. Like,
that's my mouth.
Well,
is it
I mean,
possible?
considering they're only a couple bucks, you're not really missing much if you do.
Oh my gosh.
I did see that.
I mean, it would actually be pretty tough to get it all the way down there because they like spring open against the sides.
Yeah.
So you'd have to like poke it in.
It's pretty light.
Okay, so it's idiot proof.
Pretty close.
I mean, I've met some impressive idiots.
All right.
There's a difference in mine.
So let's go ahead and give this one a look. And this one is definitely a little bit darker.
13 and a half.
Oh, that's interesting. So he's saying his is darker, but ours is pretty good, right?
It's lighter than the last one.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yours is lighter?
For sure, mine is like
No,
maybe barely.
I can see much more color.
I'm getting ruby.
With this one.
A nice ruby.
And the light.
Yeah. So this is
Yeah.
definitely, I'm not sure. Again, you'll have to let me know. Were any of yours
Oh, yeah,
from the
that-
list?
No.
Okay.
We have Cadabra.
Well, you want to show the camera?
Abra.
No, it's
Okay.
not. It's just Cadabra.
Just Cadabra. Okay.
There is no
Mine is Susana Balboa. Yes.
But also from Mendoza, Argentina.
2018.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, at least for mine, it's pretty dark.
It smells
Mine
like-
is very dark as well. And it's very,
Yeah, mine's dark.
very earthy. I mean,
Yeah, but it's also almost a little bit not obscure, but I want to say it's almost a little hazy. Like,
yeah, right. It looks, it doesn't look entirely clear,
yeah.
right?
Which again, is what you kind of expect for a new world, especially ones where it's grown somewhere hot. That it's going to have that much more tannin to it that kind of obscures light. So
Yep.
Let's give this thing a bit of a spin and we'll see how well the legs are on this.
I got a hint of vanilla in there.
Those actually came down, I want to say, well, they started fairly quickly and then there's like an aftershock
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely.
they're pulling down. So
Oh, the same baking stuff.
at least I
Like clove.
I think I heard that someone say 13.5. I mean, I would have put this more closer to like 14, but yeah. Okay.
It has instructions too. It says, get some friends together. Say the magic word, abracadabra.
See?
Serve the magic into glasses and wait for the ovation.
Oh my gosh.
Mine just says 13 flat.
Oh yeah. Okay. So it is 13. Okay. So ours is actually lower than theirs, but okay.
This is 13.9. Mine is 13.9.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So you have a much hotter one. Okay. Well, let's give this thing a swirl and a sniff.
3,800 foot elevation.
Okay.
Carol sent it
Send
to
that to the Birches?
Yeah.
Actually, my vintage was 2016, not 2018.
Ah,
Frederick.
I think I actually have the 2019. I was actually kind of amazed that I was getting 2019 reds because that's like
Brand new.
kind of unheard of. 'Cause-
Beaujolais.
yeah. Well, I mean, usually for reds, you don't really see it in the bottle for 2-3 years after it's harvested. All right. So what are people smelling from this one? Now,
I'm getting those pencil shavings.
So you're getting pencil shavings from here. Like,
Mhm.
'cause this being New World, we should be seeing a lot more of those kind of like
Yes.
fruits being expressed.
Yeah, cherry-ish, I think.
I am catching a little bit of like a cedar, Ryan. So, I mean, yeah. but I'm definitely getting a lot. What's really come to the forefront is a lot more of that kind of blackberry and maybe even a little bit of cherry. But there's a floral note that's kind of hiding in the background. That no, not floral. Tea.
Yeah, hers. It's not my computer.
You think of like a black or oolong tea. Huh. All right.
Yeah, I can see tea in this.
Well, go ahead and give this thing our first taste. Cheers.
I did not like the last one, so I hope I like this one better.
This one finishes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
So comparatively to the last one, how's the flavors on this?
Actually, to me, it's a much chunkier texture. It's not as smooth, it feels chunkier on my palate. That's how I would describe it. A little heavier.
Yeah, it definitely has a lot more of the tannin to it. That kind of gives it that kind of fuller mouthfeel.
This one just tastes like cherry to me, like much fruitier.
Okay. Yeah, and keep that in mind, because as we go back to Italy on the next one, again we're you'll be kind of seeing differences of how that fruit is expressed or how vividly, because I am definitely getting that black cherry and blackberry as kind of like the things that are coming to the forefront, and then everything else is kind of, it's there but you're searching for it.
But it's just like,
Now, these comparatively to like the old world, these are much more, you would be looking for like fruit friendly instead of more of that kind of savory, spice and vegetal. So, I mean, like Amber, those that raspberry chocolate, if you think it went well with the French, I would think they would be going even better with this one.
What did you say about vinegar?
it's just one of my favorite things.
I tried it with coconut shrimp and I liked that.
Coconut shrimp, huh?
Yeah.
Trying to think of what it's actually attaching to that would give a pairing, but okay. So Team Foodie, how's what do you finding that goes well with this?
Blue cheese,
The
the
dark
arugula.
Ah,
I think with the manchego, if you're going to do a cheese, this is the cheese to do.
oh yeah. Manchego is the Swiss Army knife of wine pairings.
I had a green olive stuffed with garlic and jalapeno that was really nicely paired with this one.
That might
Okay.
Yeah, for this one.
That's, I mean, well, again, that green is greens are going to get expressed depending on both the wine, because even this is going to have some of those notes. It's just a matter of you having that olive is just kind of expressing it. So cool.
This goes a little better with chocolate.
Yeah, I would think that New World cabs are going to go much better with like just straight chocolate comparatively to the old world cabs. Yeah, me, I actually went and raided my the basil that I have outside, and
Oh,
I'm,
because we were
I'm really hoping that it's going to be expressed through this.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Another great combo.
I will roll when it comes to gardening. I don't.
Mm.
I one time kept an orchid alive for over a year. That was pretty impressive.
That is.
I don't know how.
I've already ignored it
Trying to make their herb garden,
on your sink.
like behind the sink, whatever.
Yeah, but when it comes to basil, like if you're making pesto, like you need a basil bush.
Oh, Janet, I totally forgot to go through kind of like the
Music is then my
how to really get the
Yes,
best
best out of it.
yeah, the best bang for your buck out of
The
like a
ba-
food
my
and wine.
best
So what you do is first kind of take a sip of your wine, just to kind of prime your palate, and then after that, go ahead and take your little bit of food and you start to kind of chew it up. But before that final swallow, before you go, wash it down with a second sip of that wine,
Okay.
and that's where the magic happens.
Okay. I'll give that a try here.
Yeah, it's always the sip, chew, sip.
do a different job.
Yeah, he never called me. I gotta get another one. We're not seeing anywhere.
I don't want to sit on the other side. I started on the other side. If you have an afternoon game,
Yeah.
you're in direct sunlight.
See, that's what I was thinking is that this
Huh?
Argentinian one doesn't go well with the samosas comparatively to the French one.
But I'm kind of weenie when it comes to being hot.
Yeah, I've tried actually, I've tried the goat cheese, my steak, and neither one of them really pop with the wine that I'm drinking. I don't know why, but
I think it's because it doesn't have as much astringency, which is really going to kind of cut through both some of the fat that's being kind of layered down when you have those kinds of foods, and it's really that, you know, as it's being stripped away, that all of a sudden you have that you know, whatever flavors are kind of compatible between the two is what's kind of gets expressed.
Yeah.
But if you don't have something that's strong enough to strip away those fat layers,
Like
it's not really going to, you know, it's going to seem like it tastes flat.
well, and that's kind of where I am with this. But even though this is really highly recommended by my local wine merchant,
To go well.
well, just as a classic example of a Mendoza Cabernet.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's just, again, you know, Mendoza Mendozan cabs or just wines in general tend to just be a little bit, I don't want to say hotter, but that climate is a little bit hotter, and they let their fruit kind of mature a lot more on the vine. So their wines tend to be a lot more full flavored, not as much acidity. And sometimes, for depending on the food, you really need the acidity to, again, you know, kind of strip away all the fat that's being, you know, from the food that's being layered on your tongue.
Gotcha. Yep, I agree. So probably a lower fat food then
Yeah,
would be, you know, more enjoyable.
I would think so.
I don't actually have any low fat food with me right now, but
Well, it's like, you know, instead of things with, like, you know, a mound of cheese or you know, a lot of like grease to them. Yeah, but you still need at least some. That's always kind of like the pairing, because no matter what the wine is, it's always going to have some amount of acid to it. It's about getting that mix right.
I like it much better.
I always like Argentina.
The right proportion. Got ya.
Mhm.
Yep. I understand better.
Are these Kalamata?
All right. See how
We're
everyone's gonna-
eschewing the olives, so no Kalamata olives. Okay.
Kalamata.
Oh my god.
How's everyone doing on their wine?
It's great.
We're ready for the next one.
All right, we're on to the Italian.
Ollie.
Italiano.
For me, I have and it's the one that I had recommended, which is the Villa Pozzi. Which say this one's from Sicily.
Right. So's mine. Say Nero Diavola.
I know Diavola is one of my faves.
Really?
Yes. I fell in love with it when we lived in Italy. It's really
Yeah,
good.
I first thought that was a brand name, so I was raving about it to my friends, and then we were in a wine store, and I told them to go get it, and they brought back a completely different bottle.
What, the Nero Diavolo?
Yeah.
Narrow, yeah.
What do we have? T. Terrazzi.
Why don't you read this in an Italian accent for us?
All right. So as
Oh,
we're looking at this one, now to me, this one seems much more red, almost. I don't know, maybe mine's a little oxidized, but I'm almost seeing like hints of brown to it.
La Mozza.
No,
I'm getting ruby.
ours is very red.
Yeah. So we're
Yeah.
Red,
it's-
yes.
Darker than the first one, not as dark as the second one. I'm not sure about brown, but I'm definitely seeing like violet instead of just red.
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe I'm getting almost all
Okay, ours is
I think
Tuscan,
far more red.
not Southern.
Garnet.
Complete ruby color for me.
Yeah. But it's definitely, a lot more on the
Ours is much
the-
Lighter.
I'll say thinner comparatively to the Argentinian one.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll give this thing a bit of a swirl. Now those are pulling down fast.
out of raspberry.
Oh, yeah, these are very, very, very late.
Yes.
What is this, like 12, 12.5?
Already all the way
No,
down.
13.5. Okay.
Ours is a 14, so cheers.
Oh, wow. So
I wonder
well,
if
let's
it's
give this thing a swirl and a sniff.
Is ours glass or crystal?
Oh. All right. What's everyone smelling on this one?
Mm,
I'm still fruity. There's a little bit of mineral in there. But
it's very fruity. I almost,
More
for
pretty.
me, it's a little bit raspberry.
Yeah, this one, as much as you might, I was definitely looking at more like red fruit, but maybe it's just my compulsion for anything Italian to, have much more of like
I was about to say that too.
yeah, to have
It's
much more of that
definitely
kind of
more
like
fruity, more
cherry
red.
note. Anyone getting anything else off this? Like, to me, this smells Italian. It smells like tomatoes.
Yes. Holy cow.
That was my first thought.
you get notifications from Facebook.
Okay, well, let's give this thing a sip.
From the, our birch
Cheers.
bread.
Yeah, heavy berry for me.
So would you say that it was like very fruit forward, or is it still kind of?
No, it's fruit forward, definitely. mine is. I mean, that's how I perceive it. Let me clarify that.
Like I'm definitely getting, kind of like the little bit, like I said, a little bit of blackberry. But to me, I'm actually getting a lot more. Maybe it's just balanced, but a lot of like black pepper.
Yep, a little bit of that.
But
Little black pepper.
But to me, yeah, I'm getting much more of that kind of bitterness from like a black pepper, like black peppercorns, comparatively to a lot of like almost like a fruit heavy.
It's in the finish, though.
Yeah.
I just didn't.
I'm definitely not getting as much of the cherry that I was smelling on the palate.
Yeah, it's more like a mix of red and black fruit. But there's something else there.
It's very sweet compared to the other two.
It's got that.
Goat cheese.
It's got that reduced aroma, like port or balsamic vinegar.
Mm.
So
like concentrated.
Okay.
Yeah, so that the creamy goat cheese.
Well,
so would that be the jammy sense? I mean,
yeah. Well, it's. I wouldn't say like jammy. I mean, to me, yeah, this is more on that kind of like some around like baked fruit.
Right.
Oh, that's a good description.
Good with the blue cheese, the goat
But
cheese.
because this does taste like it was picked a little late, and has a bit. It's much more. It's kind of like what we had with the Argentinian, where it's a little bit rounder. Doesn't really have that grippiness from like a high acidity.
One of the things you say is jam, I think that jam is like that kind of stuff.
I think the flavor comes through a little bit more cleanly to me, though.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, that's why I kind of look at this one comparatively to the last one, which was like when I think like fruit heavy,
I know.
which is much more associated with New World. That this one is still it's reeled back a lot. Yeah, that it's not just bam, fruit explosion in your mouth.
Right. Right.
Hey, Richard.
Yes.
What are you tasting when you're thinking it was picked late? I don't understand how you taste that.
How I was tasting what?
You said that you felt like this was picked late in the season or riper.
Yeah. Well, and that's what kind of gives it that baked taste, like that baked fruit.
Okay.
Just that it doesn't have as much, as it's a, if it's picked a little bit early, that's where you also kind of get a bit more of those like green notes, a lot higher acidity. As the acidity goes down, as the tannins go up, is when it starts to kind of meld from fresh to like ripe, baked, and then like jammy.
Okay.
But I'm still really hoping that the ravioli with the basil is going to be the winner for this one, because that's also one of the things that I've kind of given in previous lectures is one of the kind of mantras of wine food pairing is what grows together goes together. And so that's the reason why, if you can find a food that's also kind of regional to the wine, you tend to have a lot better pairing than that same food that's from somewhere else.
So,
nice.
What'd you say, Rob?
Tomato, mozzarella, basil, and balsamic vinaigrette. It's a really nice pairing.
Yeah, I mentioned balsamic. That seems to. I mean, it doesn't taste like vinegar. It tastes like concentrated flavors.
No.
Oh wow. Yeah, that basil really, like fresh basil, really comes out with this wine.
Yeah. We also have the chocolate raspberry cake is a really nice pairing too.
Okay.
Raspberry, again,
I
pull it
honestly
out.
don't think that there's anything that doesn't pair well with it. Everything is good.
So Italian cab, yeah. And again, trying to find like an Italian just pure cab, also a little hard to find, but finding a super Tuscan, which is going to have a
feels like an oxymoron.
Really? Yeah. What's that?
Cabernet Sauvignon
And Italian.
and Italian.
Oh, it's not Italian, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, Kurt's having seconds. He must like this wine.
This one is good.
yeah. This one was surprisingly good.
Okay. Well, I'm not all that crazy about this one, but my experience in Sicily when I traveled there was they didn't really have a huge variety of available wines. It was basically, for some reason, it was like, no, we don't have Cabernet. No, we don't have Cabernet.
Oh, well, I mean, but what about just like, I don't know, like a table red,
Well, and honestly, I think that it was basically, here's our house wine.
Yeah.
Have it.
Because I thought I'd always heard stories about just
typical of being in Italy, though.
Pardon?
That's very typical of being in Italy. Like you're supposed to be drinking the wine of the region.
Yeah.
Right.
So that white meat, white wine isn't a thing. It's a drinking the wine from the region, regardless of what you're eating.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I thought I remembered, stories about just you went to the village market with like your giant jug and you either filled up from the red spout or the white spout.
Absolutely. You take your empty water bottles because the water out of the faucet isn't potable.
Uh-huh.
So you take your empty plastic water bottles to the local bodega type of thing. And seriously, you just either it's white or it's red.
How does it keep
The water wasn't potable?
No, the water out of the faucet is, in southern Italy.
Okay,
So,
because I actually thought that every single drinking fountain, I mean, there were a ton of fountains. You could drink out of any of them. I mean, we did.
Well, those are okay. I lived outside of Naples.
Okay.
So the water out of the faucet, you could use it to boil pasta, for cooking. I didn't use the liter bottles of water, but for drinking water, we had to buy bottled water. If you're going through Rome and there's a water fountain, you can drink out of that.
Right.
But just to fill up a pot. I had friends who would only fill their pots up with the bottled water. I would use the tap water for that. But for drinking water, we always had bottled water. And it was not uncommon to take those empty bottles, the plastic bottles, to a local place and fill them up from. You're walking in and you're sticking the bottle under a spigot where the barrel or whatever it is behind a wall. Mm-hmm. And you just open it up and fill it up and then you're good.
That's interesting. Now, I had assumed that any public drinking fountain, and there were a ton of fountains everywhere. Yeah. They were going constantly. Those were all suitable for human consumption.
Those are. And it really depends on what part of Italy you're in as well. So
Rome, Sicily.
Yeah. And those are good. I mean, those are running for people to drink or to fill up their water bottles from, and that's fine. But when we lived in Italy and we opened up a faucet, it was for washing dishes or bathing. It was not for drinking.
So that's when you go to the pound square to the fountain. You drink it.
Maybe there's your bad
so to
plumbing.
speak. Yeah.
It's bad plumbing or
All
Huh?
right.
something.
We ready for our Napa?
Germany. That's
Yeah, think so.
All right. So for those of you that playing along at home, got the Iter Napa
Oh,
Valley.
we're moving on. Okay.
And I have a Durant in Booth.
Okay.
We have a
20
Monterey.
We're on to the American wines.
We are.
America.
America with the
America.
good stop. Easy access. Like that.
Now, I think I've kind of, well, when I went through Sonoma, I kind of explained a little bit about Napa as well. But even when it says Napa, yeah, there's some distinct differences in Napa, depending on, because it goes down as far south as like Carneros, which is, and then with its kind of like low elevation and kind of flatness, comparatively to say like St. Helena or any of the places much farther north where you start to really rise in elevation. Plus, the vines themselves are kind of on the side of a mountain, so it's really kind of a I'm hoping that for those of you that have substitutes that we're getting at least somewhat close. But I mean, Napa is going to have like a lot of the same soil.
Yes.
It's just a matter of whether it's going to be like really gammy or a little bit more grippy and green.
Right. Well, the one that I have was a staff pick.
Okay.
Recommended by the staff tasters. So, but it's definitely
What?
definitely hard to see through. Very thick.
Yeah.
It's
And this one's
ruby. It's a lot more ruby.
Yeah, it's ruby. Like it's got a little bit, much more of those like almost like it's sort almost to that purple, but not quite.
Really dark.
What's your guess?
All right.
Yeah, just shy of a Malbec.
Yeah.
Alcohol content. Go. Give me a number.
13.
No.
So
14.1.
What?
This one's gonna fuck us up, y'all.
so which one do you have? Do you actually have the Iter or you have something
No, we
else?
don't. We have a Martin Ray,
Okay.
2017.
2017.
Yeah, I mean, if you find a Napa cab under 13.5, that's rare. I mean, most of them are going to be 14.5. I've seen ones up to like 16.
Oh shit!
Wow.
Holy crap! That's like
But
That's a lot.
grain alcohol.
Yeah, mine's 14.5.
yeah, this one, I mean, mine, I'd probably it's coming down somewhat fast, but I'd probably put this one around 14.
Josh Hawley, who
Oh.
taught
Let's see.
Missouri and taught at Mizzou.
Yeah, 13.9. Okay.
Did you see her post?
No.
So she shared a letter from
All right.
a
Well,
law
let's give this thing a
at Mizzou
bit of
where
a swirl and a sniff.
she's calling for his
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, he's a Brian.
Okay, now this one's different.
Like, it's not,
Yes.
that's
As you said, new world, old world, dramatic.
so that he's the first time.
At least for me, I'm definitely smelling, like American oak on this too.
Like I could
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Because I mean, beyond that heavy
Fruity.
kind of dark black fruit like plum and blackberry.
Oh, she just said that.
I just said that.
Ah.
She's so smart.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, the first sniff, the only thing I could taste was, the only thing I could smell was oak.
Yeah, well, I mean, the oak, it's heavily charred because I'm getting, it's almost like mocha, but with like a little bit of tobacco, like almost like a cigar,
Yeah.
like that sweet tobacco.
Yeah, I'm getting that now, but the first sniff was just oak.
Yeah.
Like the one that he's staying in.
I'm excited for this one. All right. last of the night. Cheers.
The tickets on Southwest are $250.
I have so many days in advance. I'm so bored.
Mm. Now
Not a tan in there.
that is, it's very tanniny but lush.
Mhm.
Mm.
Amber's, how's yours tasting?
Old school, where I don't want to not teach classes anymore. I'm just
You will.
I don't really know.
I'm doing it a little bit.
Are you getting at least some of the flavors that we've kind of been expressing so far? Like, is it kind of like that plummy, blackberry, maybe in a little bit of chocolate?
That's really good.
This one doesn't really taste that fruity to me, so I'm just kind of like, I don't know.
I think it's very good.
Yeah, I'm not getting any fruit out of it.
Ours is not the same, but
I feel like ours is
A little cocoa, a little tobacco, a lot of oak.
It's just because of the low, like
Right, it was the
that low acidity to this. I mean, to me, it just tastes like, like lush like blackberry juice.
you want to make that brisket. Oh my god, it made me drool. So good.
But hey, it's kind of I'm
really good with the burger.
What do we
Actually.
do?
that you guys aren't tasting the fruit. I mean, it's interesting because again, we're
I put it in these
back to New World, which I mean, that's what this should be is much more of a fruit bomb. But hey, it also could be that either one they heavily oaked it to the point where it's not even what a lot of people consider wine anymore.
Here. Seventh grade. Is working.
And did you
Or-
say you had a 2019? Because I had a 2018 for this one. I don't know if that made a
Yeah,
difference.
I've got
No.
a 2018 also.
Yeah, I've got the 2018.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe that's it. No.
No, we all have the same one. I guess that would be the other question is how long has each of your bottles been open? Because mine's been open for about 3 hours.
Mine's been open
I've had it
for
open 2 hours.
about 2.
Okay.
Hour and a half?
Open for 2 hours.
Maybe?
Yeah, we have ours at 5.
I mean, I can trace like a faint juiciness, but I can't really tell which fruit it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of the weird thing about wine. I mean, I've been making wine, so I can kind of taste how it is before as actual fruit juice, and then what happens when you take that same juice and you take the sugar out of it, which is essentially what this is. And to me, this just tastes like it tastes like plum juice with with all the sugar out of it.
What?
So Richard, are you buying you're buying juice? You're not like stomping grapes or anything, are you?
No. It's just
They don't really grow very well in Arizona.
Oh, actually, there's an area of Arizona that they grow really, really well.
What
Oh, yeah.
varieties?
Yeah, but it's down south, almost near New Mexico, in a place called Wilcox. And it's like a 4,000 foot elevation, so it's actually kind of cold, and it grows really good grapes out there.
What does
There's also some towns in the north of Arizona that have like wild blueberries and grapes and blackberries growing.
Oh yeah, Sedona. You can find those kinds of fruits just kind of right on the side of the freeway.
Yeah, like I went there and I thought like this looks like Oregon.
Terra is the
Wow.
Latin.
And the more I taste this, the more all I'm getting is the black fruit, but I'm getting a lot more chocolate. Like this is definitely like a
Yeah, this one goes really well with chocolate.
Yeah.
This one goes great with pure chocolate.
Latin roots.
Oh, I said it right though. It is terroir.
You know,
Okay,
that's
wow.
And the pairing makes the juice come out a little bit more. I still can't tell which fruit it is.
I'm talking about.
Are you tasting
There's
yourself?
more in the bottle.
Are you doing it tomorrow, or-
No, gonna probably help
Oh,
it.
it's David had-
Yeah, and this with that stout beef pie. This definitely needs that, something really hearty and full of gravy that really kind of fights up against it.
Like everything with rest.
Yeah, the French was definitely my least favorite.
So
That
this
was my
one
foot.
is actually pretty good.
The
right?
Napa.
Like,
Yeah, it is.
and that, like, I feel like I'm saying that the Napa wine is better. than
I
French.
liked it with the chocolate too. I had it with the chocolate raspberry and it was pretty good.
Yeah, the California Cabs, this is they're kind of known for being the chocolate friendly of red wines.
Seriously.
So cool.
To be the best.
Amen.
Good.
And before I kind of close things out for at least the recording, just wanted to let you know about what we'll probably be doing in a couple of weeks. I'm definitely going to kind of stick on this, at least if everyone likes this going through varietals from different regions, to kind of learn what the differences are. Just a matter of which one we want to do next, because some of them are kind of hard to find in every area or in enough areas, but I mean,
You're here.
how's everyone?
be
Is
like-
everyone pretty much like more of a red, or could should I also do whites? Because I one of the
I
ones
also-
that's great is like a you can do Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, and both of those have multiple places that are that have them, but maybe the only other ones that are kind of like more regional that are kind of widely dispersed, we'd be looking at maybe like a Syrah Shiraz or like a Merlot. So
what about a Malbec? Do you
well,
like Malbec? You don't care for Malbecs, or?
well, it's not that I don't care for Malbecs, but
But
they're
you
not
just
really.
don't like Malbecs?
No, it's not. Again, it's not that I don't like Malbecs. It's that trying to find, 4 different regions that grow Malbec, that is the tough part, because we're trying to, it's so that again we're trying to find what the differences are between our regions for say a Cabernet.
Right.
And so it's just a matter of,
I mean,
because again, I can find, regionals for a couple of things like Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, and probably Merlot, and maybe a couple other reds. But what's everyone's opinion on either, do you want to stay with just reds for more of the savory stuff, or do you want to try like a full flight of whites? Or do you mind?
I like whites, but I wouldn't go on a mission to do all of the whites because some of them just don't taste like anything.
Sure.
And you don't have to do 4. I mean, I've had virtual tastings with just one bottle.
Do 8.
That's a little bit disappointing, but 2 bottles is fine. Everyone's happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, well, listen, there are 4 of you guys. There are for all of us who are, the rest of us who are just, looking at all of these 4 bottles of wine, thinking, how am I ever going to drink this before it goes
I
bad?
said it means 2 different bottles, not 2 total.
But I think that personally, I will not express an opinion.
Okay.
So.
Well, and that's the thing, is that with whites, especially if we're doing 4, that as soon as you open up a bottle of white, you've got like 1 to 2 days to drink it. And so now, you're having to drink through 4 bottles, that quickly.
It's gonna last that long.
Comparatively to reds, where you have about a week of, before you have to finish those bottles.
Staying with reds. I prefer reds, but I have been branching out with the whites.
Yeah. Well, I know that at least one other person expressed that they would want to do these 4 whites. And I was definitely wanting to do Chardonnay because, the difference between, say, like a California Chardonnay and like a French Chablis are going to be like so vastly different. So, there's definitely going to be a white, yeah.
I would not be opposed to starting over with regions and choosing different vineyards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
for Chardonnay, you can definitely do 4, maybe even 5, but you don't marry the 4.
Eh.
Well, I think 4 is kind of like the limit for especially a lot of the single people that are drinking.
Yeah.
Now you've got a whole bunch of open bottles.
Right. And it's a kind of a big investment as well,
Yeah.
to tell the truth. I mean, $50 for one bottle of wine is more than I would usually pay.
Well, yeah, and that's actually a little unexpected, because usually what I've been trying to do, especially with at least with the wines that I pick, all of them should be under $20 a bottle.
And I can't get them.
Oh yeah.
So I end up going with what is described.
Sure.
And try to find what I can. Not one of these bottles is what you'd recommended. So
yeah, and that's
a website for Richard to take a look at their wines.
Yeah, and that's what I did for Ray, and I think I did for someone else.
Well, yeah, maybe you and Ray could talk about the same liquor store and maybe get the wines from the same liquor store.
Well, I don't think. Well, Ray is in Illinois, and so the only thing that she has is like the liquor barn.
No, actually, you know what? I'm and I don't have a liquor barn near me. I have a Binny's.
Okay.
And
Binny's is huge. That's not quite Lucas, but it's right up there.
So yeah, I mean, if a Benny's, just
Binny, Binny.
Binny. Okay.
Binny's. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Just on the next one, I'll probably post something out for both Liquor Barn and for Binny's then, and
Okay, that sounds like a deal. Thank you.
But yeah,
And to your
but I'll at least I was going to do this for at least January into February. At least 2 more of these that are based on varietal instead of regional, and then we'll go back to regional and kind of start going through those again, because I mean that's really easy for me because I already have I still have all my presentation notes for all of those, so those are going to be super simple.
Well, this has been very interesting to taste the varietal tour of the the hemispheres has been interesting for sure.
Yeah, because and this is because what we were doing last time is or all throughout last year was we hopped around to different regions and got to try both whites and reds from, say, Australia or from Chile or Argentina or Washington State, and kind of understanding what the flavors are and what is good in that area. But this kind of gives you kind of like that vertical instead of horizontal on what is what your flavor likes and dislikes are. That so again, if you like Cabernet, maybe you start to really kind of pinpoint, well, okay, which Cabernet do you like? Do you like ones that are a little bit more acidic or a little bit less acidic, that or whatever food you're going to have. Well, is it going to go best with a French cab, or is it going to go best with the Napa cab?
Right. Well, I hope it's the Napa cab. French cab is too pricey. But
well, you should be able to find, for you, because you actually found just like a straight cab, or did you actually get you got like a left bank Bordeaux?
Yes, I did.
And there should be a lot less pricey. I'm not sure how.
Actually, he basically, I told him 40.
Okay.
he pointed to only one in that category that he had that was really heavy cab,
like
very heavily cab. Yep.
Rob, what cost was the that Hot Medoc Bordeaux that you have?
For right around $20 to $15.
About this one.
Oh, okay.
This one.
I guess I was sold up.
I think you were.
I think the guy you were asking might have been on commission.
Yeah, the shitty French one was $19.99.
Oh, he basically said, you don't want to have anything over there.
Yeah, and that's why because that was kind of one of the missions of this, was to show that you don't have to spend
Right.
a high amount of bucks on wine to get good ones.
I agree. I agree.
I also like doing the varietals because I didn't think that I liked Cabernet,
Mhm.
but I think I just like it for certain regions. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to do with these, is kind of expand people's palates to understand what they like, what they don't like, and and also to get an idea of when someone tells you that, hey, we're having barbecue tonight, that you have in your mind, okay, well, what of the things that I like is going to go well with this?
Yeah, I was going to say something similar, because I know there are a couple cabs I like, but most of them just taste like a chunk of oak.
Yeah, and really the oak thing, they're starting to dial that back. For a long time it was like super heavy on the oak, but then both the wine scores and some of the wine producers started saying, that heavy oak, what that's doing is it's masking a flaw in the wine, and so people, as soon as that starts to become the well, why did you oak this so well or so much, what's really wrong with your grapes, everyone started to dial back from that point. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording now and just kind of open it up for socializing.